In a small village nestled gently between emerald mountains and deep green forests, there lived a young girl named Sania. Her life was filled with simplicity, wonder, and the earthy rhythm of rural living. Her house, made of mud bricks and crowned with a straw roof, stood near the village clinic where her father, Dr. Haroon, worked tirelessly. Known by everyone for his kindness, Dr. Haroon never charged a single rupee from his patients. He believed that healing should never be a luxury. Sania adored her father deeply. She loved the way he listened to people, treated them with care, and stayed up late into the night mixing medicines with herbal powders and careful precision. But Sania herself was nothing like him. At least, that's what she believed. While she loved listening to fairy tales, dreaming of magical lands and glowing beings with wings, she didn't enjoy school. Homework bored her, and responsibility felt like a heavy chain. Her teachers constantly told her she was bright but undisciplined. One morning, the village awoke to the news that a farmer named Mr. James had collapsed in his fields. Dr. Haroon, as always, rushed to his aid. The situation was serious. Mr. James needed better equipment than the village could offer. Without hesitation, Dr. Haroon loaded him into his small pickup truck and drove toward the city hospital. But the roads were treacherous that day. A storm had swept through the night before, leaving the paths slippery and the rivers swollen. Hours later, a call came to Sania's home. There had been an accident. Her father's truck had skidded off the road near the bridge. Villagers had found him unconscious, though thankfully alive. Sania felt her world collapse. She ran to the clinic, where her mother and a few elders were trying to stabilize him. But they all agreed he needed city treatment too, and quickly. Sania sat outside the clinic, her heart aching, her thoughts in turmoil. She felt helpless, like she had always been just a little girl who escaped into stories and left real life to grown-ups. As evening fell, Sania couldn't bear it any longer. She wandered toward the forest behind their home, the very one her father had always told her never to enter alone. But she wasn't thinking clearly. Her feet carried her over roots and rocks, past familiar trees into deeper, unfamiliar groves. Tears welled up in her eyes as she thought of her father. Her chest tightened. She sat beneath a tree, burying her face in her knees, sobbing quietly. That's when she noticed it, a soft glow coming from behind the trees. At first, she thought it was the sun, but it was already dusk. The glow pulsed gently, like the heartbeat of the earth. Drawn by its mystery, she wiped her tears and crept toward it. And there, in the heart of the woods, stood a shimmering doorway, oval in shape, made of pure golden light. It floated just a few inches above the forest floor. Sania hesitated. Her heart pounded. But something about the doorway seemed to call to her, not in words, but in feeling. Without quite knowing why, she stepped through. Instantly, she was enveloped in light. The world twisted and shimmered. When she opened her eyes, she gasped. Before her lay the most magical place she had ever seen. Tall trees with silver leaves, flowers that hummed softly, and small floating islands where fairies flew with trails of sparkles. Everything glowed softly, like moonlight wrapped in silk. Fairies flew over her head, some tiny and sprightly, others taller and regal. They wore clothes made of flower petals and spider silk. They looked at her in surprise but not fear. Soon, she was brought to the fairy palace, a structure made entirely of vines and glowing crystals. There, on a throne made of a single giant blossom, sat the fairy queen. She was the most beautiful creature Sania had ever seen. Her wings shimmered with a rainbow hue, and her eyes held both wisdom and sadness. "Welcome, Sania," she said, her voice like a breeze through chimes. "You have found our world at a time of great need." The queen explained that a strange illness had spread through the fairy realm. Many of their healers had fallen ill. The magic that once kept them safe had weakened. "We have searched the skies and stars for someone with a spark of healing in their heart. You, child, have it. Like your father. Will you help us?" Sania was stunned. "Me? But I'm not responsible. I don't even finish my homework." The queen smiled gently. Responsibility is not about doing homework. It is about what you choose when others need you. And so, Sania stayed. For 3 days and nights, she studied the ancient arts of fairy healing. She learned to make medicine from singing leaves and glowing moss. She watched how fairies treated each other with compassion, focus, and respect. Slowly, something began to change in her. She found herself remembering things she used to ignore. She stayed up late, practicing herbal mixtures and writing notes. When the time came to return, the fairies gave her a small vial of glowing nectar. "This will help your father," the queen said. "But its magic will only work if mixed with your love." Sania raced back through the doorway, which appeared for her once more. She ran all the way to the clinic. Her father's condition had worsened, and everyone looked tired. Without hesitation, Sania prepared the remedy exactly as she'd been taught. She held her father's hand and whispered, "Please get better. I need you." The glow spread from the vial, flowing into him like warm sunlight. Within hours, Dr. Haroon's breathing steadied. By morning, he opened his eyes. Tears streamed down Sania's cheeks as she hugged him. She told him everything about the fairies, their illness, the healing magic. He smiled, weak but full of pride. "I always dreamed you'd become a doctor. I just didn't think you'd become one for fairies too." From that day on, Sania changed. She began waking up early, doing her homework without being asked, and helping at the clinic. She asked her father questions about herbs and medicines. On weekends, she would return to the forest, where the shimmering doorway now opened only for her. The fairy world welcomed her as their healer, their bridge to the human world. Word spread across the village. Children began calling her Dr. Fairy. Even the strictest teachers started smiling when they saw her. Years later, Sania became a real doctor, one with degrees, knowledge, and experience. But in her heart, she remained the girl who had healed with love, the girl who walked between two worlds. And every time she saw someone smile after being healed, she whispered quietly to herself, This is the real magic."